Hello everyone, my name is Alan Ellison. I'm running for the United States Senate. Today is Fridays for Florida. We want to thank you for taking the time to join us here tonight to talk about some of the issues that matter most to Floridians. We want to also acknowledge the fact that there have been over 30,000 deaths in Florida due to coronavirus. We want to talk about the breakdown of the American Rescue Plan as it relates to Florida. Our team has been taking the time to break these numbers down so that we can help provide a level of education about how much funds are going to be allocated to Florida and what that's going to look like for the government of Florida, first responders, families, veterans. So we're going to talk about these numbers. We also want to acknowledge that in the United States, there is a great divide. And recently there were attacks on members of the Asian community. We want the Asian community to know that we stand with you and we support you. We want to make sure that we are toning down the rhetoric as it relates to different people in this society. We want to make sure that we are understanding that we have more in common than differences, and we need to focus on what we have in common, because at the end of the day, we are one people. We are Americans. And I know that it's very common for people to try and pick on others based on those differences. And we are a country of immigrants. Everyone that is here, except for natives, came here from somewhere else. And so we need to always remember that, we are transients. And that, it is immigrants that help to build this country into what it is. And so we have to honor and we have to celebrate one another's differences, and we have to keep one another safe. I believe that if we put love at the foundation of our relationships, then we would have a better way forward. But hate is definitely not the way. And it's so unfortunate that we have had leadership in this country and currently have leadership in this country that continues to wave the flames of hate, allowing people to commit atrocities on our fellow Americans. And so we cannot stand for it. We have to call it out whenever we see it. There are members of our various communities that are constantly under attack. Members of the LGBTQIA community under attack, members of communities of color are under attack. Now Asian communities are under attack. We need to make sure that we are standing up for one another. That is American. It is un-American to treat people the way that I see that people have been treated leaving out of Trump presidency. He basically caused a rift in this country, but we have to do everything in our power to make sure that we are dialing back the rhetoric, that we are centering ourselves with open-mindedness and love and unity, because united we can go far. We can't do anything divided. A divided house could never stand. We have to come together, folks. So I want to get right into the American Rescue Plan and the breakdown on that. We did this last Friday, and a lot of people who didn't get a chance to hear it wanted for us to bring it back for a part two to talk about it a little bit more, because they want to really understand how these numbers break down for American families and Florida families. So the American Rescue Plan, $424 billion were allocated for the purpose of sending out checks in the amount of $1,400. A lot of you that have already received your checks, I know that you're happy about that, but there's still millions of Americans that have not. So those checks are on the way. And if the IRS, if they have your bank account information, those checks will be coming to your bank account. We know that $350 billion are going to be allocated to state and local governments to prevent layoffs and service cuts. And before I go any further, I want to say thank you to Team Ellison for helping to put this breakdown together for the people of Florida. I couldn't do this without you, so thank you all very much. $246 billion are for unemployment insurance. 17 billion will go towards helping our veteran community. We know that in Florida we have 1.5 million veterans, and our veterans are very important to us. We want to acknowledge that there are between 18 and 22 veterans committing suicide a day. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, something that I'm working towards to trying to end it, because veterans, they have put their lives on the line for us. They have fought for our rights, our freedoms, and we must do everything in our power to raise the issues on what they are dealing with so that we can get solutions brought to those issues. So I wanted to acknowledge that. $25 billion will go towards the restaurants and bars, because restaurants and bars have been hit very hard. I was just watching the news today and I saw this image of this lady sitting in her restaurant. She's a chef, and she had her head down, and it made it on the cover of many magazines because her business had been hit really bad by COVID, and that was the way that she was taking care of her family, was through her business. And so we know that a lot of restaurants and businesses and bars have closed down, but thanks to the Democrats in the United States Congress, the American Rescue Plan was able to go through, and so $25 billion will be going towards restaurants and bars. $40 billion is going to be allocated to renters and homeowners. I know firsthand that there are members of my community that were evicted. I know that there are members of my community at large that fell behind on their mortgage payments because they were out of work. And so the American Rescue Plan is going to provide $40 billion to provide rental and homeowner assistance. We're going to also be able to put out more information on where you can go to register for this assistance. We know that $47 billion is going to go towards FEMA disaster relief. $109 billion will go towards our farming community, farmers, small businesses, and other vital industries. I know that our farmers have been hit hard as well. I came from Hardy County, and it's an agricultural community, and I've seen how COVID-19 has really impacted the farming community. So there will be funding available. We're going to provide the links to where you can go to get assistance. $176 billion is going to go towards vaccinations and health care. That is important, especially for the simple fact that there are millions of Americans that are not insured in a healthcare situation. I do believe that we should have a universal healthcare system. I know that our governor, who's now our senator, rejected Medicaid expansion here in Florida. So I believe that we should either expand Medicaid here in Florida or have a universal healthcare system nationally so that people can get access to the healthcare that they deserve. But in the meantime, we know that $176 billion will go towards healthcare in America and the vaccinations to keep you safe from coronavirus. We have $178 billion that's going to go towards safely reopening schools and to higher education institutions. We know that in Florida, we closed down schools when there were 500 cases of coronavirus. We ended up opening schools back up with 12,000 a day. That translated into 5,000 cases in the United States, and we opened back up when there were 6 million cases. It didn't make any sense to open schools back up whenever there were more cases. So the $178 billion will go towards helping schools to open back up safely. And that would mean providing the level of resources, the PPE equipment, and things of that nature that students, teachers, as well as administrators would be able to need to keep our students and our teachers safe in these schools. On that note, I do know that some of the money that is available, our Governor DeSantis, is trying to force teachers to have to take civics courses in order to get a $3,000 bonus. I totally disagree with that. I believe that teachers deserve a raise. They have worked hard. They take care of our kids. We ask so much of our teachers. And without teachers, we have no other professions. Everything starts with our teachers. We should give them the $3,000 bonus just because they deserve it, and not because we should be leveraging some type of additional course in civics for them to get it. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Almost every one of his policies do not help benefit society, doesn't benefit families. And I believe that everything that we do from a policy standpoint, it should further society. It should strengthen families. And so that's why I'm so happy to be talking about this American Rescue Plan, because this is a plan that was put together by the Democrats in the United States Congress, signed by the President of the United States, and not a single Republican member of the United States Congress signed on to this bill. So we know that at the turn of every crisis in the last 2 years, whether it be the American Recovery Plan, whether it be the HEROES Act, whether it be the CARES Act, the Coronavirus Relief Fund, it has been the Democrats that have proved that they were the ones who were standing up for American families. And so we also want to talk about the tax credits, the aid, and the child care for families, which is very important because so many families are in a tough situation right now and not able to provide child care services for their families. And so we know that thanks to the Democrats, $219 billion have been allocated for the purpose of taking care of our families. We also know that in the state of Florida, Floridians voted to have a minimum wage increase of $15, and the bill will become fully manifested by the time 2026 rolls around. So by 2026, Floridians will have a minimum wage of $15 an hour. I support a $15 minimum wage minimum. I think that we should be able to do more than that because we have to keep up with the rise of inflation. I believe in a national $15 minimum wage because it just makes sense. What bread cost yesterday, it costs more tomorrow. So we have to be able to keep up with the rising rate of inflation. But the sad thing is that also in the state of Florida, we have 1.4 million returning citizens that are looking to get back into society and provide a living for their families. And it's really sad that in Florida, we have Republican members of the state legislature, along with the governor, who is actively trying to make it where returning citizens cannot partake in the $15 minimum wage. Now, I believe in second chances, and I think most people do. I believe in strengthening families. But if you make it where returning citizens cannot partake in the $15 minimum wage increase, then you're asking for these same people to go back to a life of crime. You're asking for these people to do the very thing that got them put or incarcerated in the first place. And we want to do everything in our power to make sure that they never go back. And if it means fighting the Republicans in the state legislature to make sure that returning citizens get a fair shake and be able to get the minimum wage like every other Floridian, then that's what we have to do. And we have to raise the awareness to make sure that each and every one of us are aware that Republicans in the state legislature, they are writing bills each and every day that is destroying the quality of life of Floridians. These bills sometimes are Jim Crow era style bills, making it where these same people, returning citizens, are having to pay a poll tax in order to vote. I know that Dr. King worked very hard and ultimately lost his life fighting for equality, fighting for people's right to vote. And throughout the United States, most people understand that Americans have the right to vote. But in Florida, our governor, Ron DeSantis, he feels that it is not a right. He feels that it is a privilege. And we need to make sure that it is a right guaranteed by law from here on. We need to make sure that there is no confusion as to whether the right to vote is a right versus a privilege. And that's one of the reasons why I need to be in the United States Congress and the Senate, because I want to be one more voice that allows us to move forward on the John Lewis Voting Rights Advance Bill, because we need to just make it clear across the United States that voting is a right, not a privilege. And so I want to go a little bit deeper into the breakdown of the American Rescue Plan and how it impacts each county in terms of the funds that's going to be available for each county. And so in Alachua, there's going to be $52 million allocated to that county. In the county of Baker, you're going to get $5.6 million. Bay County is going to get $33 million. Bradford is going to get $5 million. Brevard is going to get $116 million. Broward, one of the largest counties in the state of Florida, is going to get $378 million. Calhoun is going to get $2.7 million. Charlotte County is going to get $36 million. Citrus County, $29 million. Clay County, $42 million. Collier County is going to get $74 million. Columbia is going to get $13 million. DeSoto, $7.3 million. Dixie is going to get $3.2 million. Duval is going to get $185 million. Lee County, $149 million. Leon County, $56 million. Levi is going to get $3.6 million. Liberty is going to get $1.6. Madison's going to get $3.5. Manatee is going to get $78. Marion's going to get $70. Martin County is going to get $31. Miami-Dade, the largest county in Florida in terms of population size, is going to get $525 million. Monroe County is going to get $14 million. Nassau, $17. Okaloosa is going to get $40. Okeechobee, $8.1. Orange County is going to get $270 million. Osceola is going to get $72 million. Escambia is going to get $61. Flagler, $22 million. Franklin, $2.3 million. Gadsden, $8.8 million. Gilchrist, $3.6 million. Glades County is going to get $2.6. Gulf is going to get $2.6. Hamilton, $2.7. Hardee County, home of the brave, that's where I'm from, $5.2 million. Henry County, $8.1 million. Hernando, $37 million. Highlands County, where I reside now, $20 million. Hillsborough County, $285 million. Holmes, $3.8 million. Indian River, you're going to get $31 million. Jackson, $9.0 million. Jefferson, $2.7 million. Lafayette, $1.6 million. Lake County is going to get $71. Palm Beach, $290 million. Pasco County is going to get $107 million. Pinellas, $189. Polk, $140. Putnam, $14. Santa Rosa, $335 million. Sarasota is going to get $84 million. Seminole, $91. St. John, $51. St. Lucie, $63 million. Sumter, $25 million. Sewanee, $8.6. Taylor, $4.1 million. Union County is going to get $2.9. Volusia, $107 million. Wakulla is going to get $6.5 million. Walton, $14 million. Washington is going to get $4.9 million. And so the American Rescue Plan, it created an additional $1.9 trillion for the COVID relief package. This bill includes billions of dollars designated explicitly to state and local governments to help the efforts to repair local economies, open schools safely, and provide care for those suffering from the virus, either through direct impact or prolonged unemployment. We know that people have been unemployed in this country and in this state. We know that people have become depressed behind it. We know that the bills continue to flow in even though you are not working. And so we know that it's tough. I have family members that are dealing with this, so I understand the depression. And on top of the depression of not being able to work and the bills continuing to come in, you also have to contend with the fact that we have lost over 30,000 lives in the state of Florida. And that is something where you just can't get beyond it, because you have to deal with it each and every day. I'll tell you a story about someone in my family. I had a cousin who was really, really sick, and she ended up passing away. And my cousin, her mother, that was her only child, and she couldn't be there with her while she was passing away because she had coronavirus and she was at another hospital. And so to know that my aunt could not be there with her only child, it was heart-wrenching. And then the fact that there was a funeral and my aunt still couldn't be there. And so it tore us up really bad. And so I know that there are families across the state. I know that there are families across the country that's dealing with this issue. And so my heart goes out to you. I know that this is something that could have been avoided. I know that now we have a president who understands that science matters. And so I'm happy that there is a rescue plan as well as a distribution plan to help to get people the vaccines and the financial resources that they need, so that they don't have to deal with what my family and what many other families have had to deal with. And so for that, I'm thankful. I was watching the news today, and I was looking at this guy. He kept calling this coronavirus the China virus. And I want people to understand that every time people say that, it's like flaming the flames of hate in this country. A lot of the attacks that have been taking place on our Asian American communities is because of the rhetoric. So I want to challenge each and every one of you that every time you hear that, I want you to challenge it. Because if we allow hateful rhetoric to continue to go unchecked in our society, then it only gets worse. And those hateful words begin to germinate in the minds of people. We have a responsibility to root out hate whenever it happens. We have a responsibility to check it. If you don't check this stuff, it only gets worse. And we live in a time, we're in 2021. We should not be dealing in the same ways that people were dealing 50 years ago, 100 years ago. We should have gotten stronger. We should have gotten better. We should have arrived to a place where we just accept one another's differences, and not only accept it, but celebrate the differences. Again, we are a nation of immigrants. We are Americans. We bleed red blood. Here's the other reality. The person that you see that's in front of you right now, this is just the earth suit of the person that you hear. The person that you hear is the soul that's inside of me, the spirit that's inside of me. We all have a spirit, and we should look deeper than the surface when you're dealing with individuals. And so I ask people all the time, I said, there are different types of people that when they're born, they show up in this world different ways. Some people, when they're born into this world, they draw a circle around themselves. We've seen people like that. We just had a president who was like that, selfish people. Then you have people that are born into this world and they draw a circle around themselves and their families. And that's admirable. But then you have people who draw a circle around themselves and the nation, or themselves and their community. And that's great. But every now and then you have a person like a Mother Teresa who might draw a circle around themselves and humanity. The kind of person I am, I want to be able to draw a circle around myself and humanity, because anyone that comes into my domain, anyone that comes to my vicinity, I want to make sure that I make a positive impact on them. I want to make sure that I can help that person. We need more people in leadership that draw circles around themselves and humanity. When you look at members of Congress and you look at how they draw their circles, a lot of people shouldn't even be in there. For all of those Republicans that vote on this bill to provide the help and relief to the American people, every last one of them should be voted out of office, because what they did was they proved that they were in it for themselves. They proved that they were in it for the parties, and they proved that they were not in it for the people. We have to elect people to positions of power, to elected office, that really have a heart, really have a mind to serve, and really want to benefit society and want to make life better for the people. Our campaign is about improving the quality of life for everyone. And that is what I project. That is what is inside of me. That is what permeates throughout our entire campaign. We see our campaign as a big family, and it's a big tent, and we welcome anyone that wants to be a part of what we're doing. Right now, we have hundreds of volunteers from around the state, from around the country, and we have thousands of amplifiers. We have a movement that we are building, and we want you to be a part of this movement. This isn't about me, and I tell my team all the time, this is about all of us. This is how all of us work together for a common good. We have to continue to building this society to what we want it to be. It is not there yet, but we can get there. But it takes action. Change happens when there is constant action for a way forward. And we have the way forward. We have the blueprint. We're going to reach out to each and every American. We're going to reach out to each and every Floridian. We're going to build this campaign. We're going to build this team, and we're going to change the entire landscape. We're trying to set a new standard. When people in power are acting in a way that is not American, then we want to call it out. We want to say that's un-American. We want to make sure that people who are different feel included. We want to make sure that for those that have felt marginalized, overlooked, underrepresented, we want to make sure that those individuals are respected, celebrated, and felt as if they matter, because we believe that you matter. And so my name is Alan Ellison. You can visit our website at alanellison.com. You can sign up there. If you want, you can make a contribution to our campaign, because each and every one of your contributions help us to be able to reach further. And we want to reach as far as we can so that we can get as many people understanding that our campaign is looking to not only make history in the United States, but we're trying to send a message. We're trying to change the idea of what it means to be a servant leader. And we can't do that without you. So please join our team. We really do appreciate any feedback that you have, because I believe that, the more you comment, the more you share, the bigger we become, the more I learn, because at the end of the day, I don't know it all. I'm always open to criticism. I'm always open to positive affirmations, of course, but I'm also very interested in any policy ideas that you have. One that comes to mind right now, and it's something that I've been developing just by communicating with people like you on Twitter, and that is the fact that in America, women are being paid less than men for the same level of work. And the more I talk about this with different people, people share different ideas, and the platform is constantly expanding. So just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So I came up with this idea that I wanted to provide more teeth into the laws that already exist. So in 1963, the Equal Pay Act was created. And the Equal Pay Act basically says that in a workplace, women cannot be paid less than their male counterparts. So it made it illegal for employers to pay women less for the same work in the same work environment. But corporations do this every single day. Employers do this every single day. And when I put it out onto Twitter, people started picking it apart. They're asking, well, why are employers still doing it? What are you going to do? And it forced me to actually think about, what do I want to do with this? And so I began to do more research and found out that not only was it made illegal in 1963 under the Equal Pay Act, but also in 1964, they took it a step further, making it illegal under the Civil Rights Act Title VII. So what I found is that even though it's illegal and people are still doing it, how do we bring a level of equality in the workplace in 2021? And so what we need to do is, and I've learned this just through communication with you, is the fact that we need to create a policy, create law that make it illegal for corporations to have policies where people can't talk about what they make. And that's one of the ways that corporations are getting away with this, because people are afraid to violate policy by talking about what they make. And so I know people, physicians who have found out that they were being paid $100,000 less than their male counterparts. And here's the numbers. Women in general make 77 cents for every dollar that a white male make. Women of color, particularly black women, are making as much as 69 cents for every dollar that their white male counterpart makes. So what we want to do is we want to make it where it's equal. It should be equal across the board. So for every corporation, for every employer that have been caught, because we want to set up a commission, an independent agency that reviews wages in America for the last 20 years. If you have gotten caught paying men more than women for the same level of work, then we want to force these corporations to go back to 20 years and pay back wages. And I believe that it will rectify a lot of wrong that has taken place in this country for the last 20 years. I think that it will definitely stop employers from engaging in these types of activities. And I brought this up because I want you all to understand that this relationship between me, you, or congressional representative or senator and constituent, it really should be a partnership. It is a partnership. And as a political scientist, I want to always educate you so that you understand that we are in this together. But in order for this to work, one, I have to be listening, you have to be talking, and I need to be taking notes so that I can best represent your interests. But oftentimes in this society, we have it wrong. We think that the politicians are supposed to know everything, and we just leave it up to them to look out for our interests. But how many of you know that most of these politicians don't even know who you are? And if they don't know who you are, they don't know what keeps you up at night. They don't know what you're battling. They don't know what's stopping you from moving forward and having the best quality of life, because they don't communicate with you. You can't even get them to get on the telephone. You can't even get them to return an email back without getting some canned email message. I just sent 3 messages to Marco Rubio, Rick Scott, and Greg Steube. Greg Steube didn't even respond, but I got 2 canned messages back from Rubio's office and Rick Scott's office, and they had absolutely nothing to do with the reason that I reached out. And so I know that you are tired of that. And if you want better than that, then we're going to have to elect better. And so our campaign is really strong on the idea that we must have better, stronger, and more responsive representation in the United States Congress. I hope you have enjoyed this Fridays for Florida. Please meet us back here next Friday as we continue to talk about some of these issues. Join our campaign at allenellison.com, make a contribution, and if you can, invite someone else so that we can continue to build our coalition. We are united. We're united in Florida, and we're trying to unite across the country. Thank you all very much. You have a wonderful evening.